Question number 11, David Shearer.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. To the Minister of Defence. What is the total cost of the 2 Defence Force flights that Foreign Minister Honourable Murray McCully took to Vanuatu on the 13th of February and returning on the 14th of February, including fuel, salaries of staff, allowances, accommodation, maintenance, landing fees and all other costs associated with the flights?
Order. I apologise, Honourable Member. Because of the totally unnecessary interjections, I accept the question wasn't read strictly as it was on the order paper, but the meaning was very clear. But because of the excessive interjection, I invite the member to repeat his question.
Thank you, Mr Speaker.
The Honourable, David Shearer.
What is the total cost of the 2 Defence Force flights that took Foreign Affairs Minister Honourable Murray McCully to Vanuatu on 13 February and returning on 14 February, including fuel, salaries of staff, allowances, accommodation, maintenance, landing fees and all other costs associated with the flights?
The Honourable Dr Wayne Mapp.
Mr Speaker, the total cost for the 2 flights include an aggregate, as is stated in the question, in fact, of direct costs such as fuel and indirect costs such as staff costs. I've already told the House that the approximate fuel costs were a bit over $65,000. It is, however, not practical to break out all the indirect costs on a per-flight basis, as many of those, such as salaries or indeed annualised maintenance, are incurred whether or not the aircraft fly. For instance, aircrew are clearly paid even on non-flying days. However, Mr Speaker, the indirect and direct costs are part of the total appropriation for the 757, which is $93.5 million. This includes all indirect costs, including salaries, Shearer, Vanuatu base and so forth, and the total number of hours flown by the 757s is programmed at 1,450 hours. I should note, Mr Speaker, this. There were 2 flights on this particular occasion, involving firstly a 757 and secondly a P3. I did say to Mr McCully that I would guarantee that the 757 would fly without any maintenance problems. Unfortunately, that was not true. The 757 the 757 fleet did incur a breakdown which required the aircraft to return to New Zealand, and therefore a P3 was required.
David Shearer.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Can he advise the House why it was that the use of military flights was justified in part because the Samoan delegation could be collected on its way to Vanuatu, but they were left in Port Vila to make their own way home when the Orion was sent there to collect Foreign Minister Mr McCully?
The Honourable Dr Wayne Mapp.
Mr Speaker, it's noted that the flight did include the Secretary-General of the Forum itself and also the Samoan Minister who went up. The further details I'm not aware of.
Point of order, the Honourable Trevor Mallard.
Mr Speaker, I think it's been well established who went there. I think the question was, why did they leave them behind?
Sadly, though, the supplementary question asked include both bits, and the Minister answered the first bit. He confirmed that there were other people picked up on the way, and he's not obliged to answer both parts. The David Shearer supplementary question.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Does he stand by his advice to the House last week that his colleague Murray McCully had to take military flights to and from Vanuatu because otherwise, quote, that would have meant that he would have not been able to meet Prime Minister Julia Gillard, unquote? If so, how does he respond to the inconvenient truth that commercial flights through either Australia or New Caledonia were in fact available to get Mr McCully back in time to New Zealand?
The Honourable Dr Wayne Mapp.
Mr Speaker, I was advised that the military flights were necessary to enable Mr McCully to meet all his obligations, including Mr McCully, in fact.
David Shearer.
Thank you, Mr Speaker.
Order. Is the member quite finished?
Does the Minister believe that it is possible that Mr McCully had misled him over available commercial flights, or did he say that they were all fully booked?
The Honourable Dr Wayne Mapp.
No.
Question number